Hello, my friends. It's Robert Miner with Dynamic Traders Group with a brief update for a few markets that are coming in, I think, exceptional trade opportunities you might want to be aware of. Today, we're going to update natural gas, gold, and Bitcoin. So pay attention if you're interested in trading. If you're interested in forecasts of the future, go somewhere else. I can't help you with that. Neither can anybody else, but you'll learn that on your own eventually. We really look for trade opportunities, specific opportunities for high probability trades with very minimal capital exposure. That's what we're going to talk about. If you like what you learn here, check out our DT reports at dynamictraders.com. Let's get started. Well, this is a weekly chart of natural gas, and we've been looking at natural gas for several weeks to get in a position to complete a corrective decline for an opportunity to go along with very minimal capital exposure. And that opportunity came a couple weeks ago. And this is really just, at least probably, the early stages of a multi-week and maybe multi-month bull trend. Let's take a quick look at it because it's something you should be interested in. Is that off of this 2024 low, natural gas had this beautiful, in Elliott Wave terms, 5-wave impulse trend into the March 2025 high. What follows an impulse trend? Well, should be a correction, and when the correction is finished, then a continuation of the trend prior to the correction to a new extreme. So after the March 2025 high, we had a decline, we had a little ABC correction, we had a decline to a new low. So we were looking for when natural gas got in a position to complete a corrective decline. And here we were about 3 weeks ago, is natural gas, the weekly momentum cycle had reached dual look-back oversold. It had declined in an ABC type zigzag into the 62% retracement. And then 3 weeks ago is it made an outside two-close bull reversal day. Now, bull reversal week. What that means, it made an outside week and it closed above the closes of the prior 2 weeks. That was the signal that natural gas was in a position to have completed an ABC correction and then to initiate specific go-long setup. So as you can see, we've had follow-through the week after that outside bull reversal. And this week. Of course, there's less than 2 days worth of trading for this weekly bar. But we have bullish, dual look-back bullish weekly momentums off of the 62% retracement. I mean, it's just a great opportunity to be in the initial stages of a potential bull trend that'll continue to above the 2025 high. So it's in an immediate position for go long trade strategies. There's ETFs. You don't have to do the futures. You can do ETFs for natural gas itself or related companies and industries. The one level to be aware of would be this closing level, weekly closing level for the week ending May 23rd. I think that's at 333. If natural gas makes a weekly close above that level, that'll be a strong confirmation that indeed this is a completed ABC correction and will be followed by a bull trend to a new high. So I think this is a great opportunity right now that you might want to consider. So before we look at other trade opportunities, I just wanted to remind you is that, again, we're looking at specific trade opportunities. I've traded very successfully for about 40 years, and I think I'm probably the only one that does YouTube videos or provides trading opportunity advice that actually trades successfully. Here's some of the trading results I've had, real time, real money, audited trading accounts and contests. Is all the way back in 1993. I won first place in a futures trading contest. Now that's over 30 years ago. 2018, about 86% for futures. About in Forex, 70% return on Forex. 2019 Forex, 39% return on 2020 global derivatives. That's 134% return. Again, real money, real time, audited accounts, my money. I don't trade other people's money. How about global futures here in 2022-23? 156%, 158%. And about in 2023 Forex trading, there's 60%. About 23, 24 in global futures trading, and that is I have to look over on the other side of my camera. That's about 40% return. Do you know anybody else that does those kind of returns year after year? So again, these little videos are about specific trade opportunities that you should take advantage of, not about forecasting, but trade setups with high probability outcomes and minimal capital exposures. Let's get back and take a look at another opportunity coming up here in the next week or two. Was the Bitcoin weekly data, and in the recent big picture report for Bitcoin that I did for our subscribers, I went into a lot of detail on some of the timing aspects for Bitcoin, longer term timing aspects for Bitcoin. We can't go into that now, but we can go into a potential setup for a trade here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So this is, again, Bitcoin weekly data. Bitcoin's been sideways to down since the July high as anticipated. And what we want to be aware of is the momentum cycles are reaching oversold, and that's warning us that we're probably within 2 to 3 weeks of completing a weekly low. Weekly low is a great opportunity to get long for Bitcoin, and probably it will be a weekly low that'll complete a correction. And of course, when a correction is complete, then the bull trend usually continues to a new high. And our long-term timing suggests that, or I should say, let's call it major timing for Bitcoin, suggests the immediate bull trend is liable to continue into the fourth quarter of this year, which we're approaching, ideally into the November to early December time. Now, that's a time period when there's potential for a really major top in Bitcoin, similar to those prior two major tops that have anywhere from 50 to 75% decline following them. So that'll be worthwhile for you to keep up to date. But for right now, probable weekly low. Here's some key weekly time factors, and they're falling into this week and next week, the weeks ending September 19th and September 12th. These are important time factors. They happen to be coinciding with the next Fed announcement, as well as just a few days preceding the fall equinox, which is a time that you should be alert to for a change in financial markets. Don't ask me why, but it's just really frequent that we get reversals around that equinox time. So we have our momentum cycles reaching oversold, key time factors in the next couple of weeks for a probable great setup on the long side. It's not there yet, but likely to be over the next few days. Let's take a look at the daily data. Now, this is Bitcoin daily data, and it's the closing data for Bitcoin on the continuous futures contract. Pretty close to what the cash is. Depends on your source of data on exactly what we would use as closing prices each day, but close enough. It gives us the form, the pattern, and the key price levels to look for. On the daily data, the daily momentum cycles are reaching dual look-back overbought. That means they're pretty close to turning down and going to be sideways to down for at least several days, probably at least into the end of this week, into the following week. Now, when we get our weekly momentum cycles oversold going into some key weekly time periods, we then go down to the daily data and look for a daily momentum cycle bull reversal. So that's what we'll be looking for over the next week or so. And again, Bitcoin has been sideways to down just as anticipated since July. It did poke slightly to a new high, but it's been net bearish for the last few weeks as anticipated. Probably has another week, maybe more, but not much more, sideways to down before we have a setup on the long side. So keep in mind that we're just approaching our analysis of these markets from a perspective as traders. We don't forecast. We look for trading opportunities. And at least what I look for and what we have in our DT reports, we look for weekly trends. Sometimes we'll see how the weekly trend fits in to the big picture, the major longer-term trends. But for traders, we're looking for those weekly trends, ideally, that last for, let's say, 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, maybe a bit more. So those are usually pretty good moves. So we're probably 1 to 2 weeks away from a good setup on the long side in Bitcoin. So we want to keep alert to this over the next week or so. This is the gold weekly closes. And boy, we just had an extensive big picture report for gold, and I included about a 20-minute video just on the gold market and the long-term cycles in gold. And I'll give you the summary bit here, is that gold is probably within just a few short weeks of completing a top that's going to last anywhere from several weeks to maybe even a few months. But that top, again, should be followed by a corrective decline and then followed later on by continued advance well into 2026 to probably substantially higher prices. But we do want to be alert to these multi-week trends and reversals, and more than likely, we're going to have one in gold by, let's just say, late September to early October. Early October is 8 weeks based on closing data from the last closing high. And you can see for this entire year, every 8 or 9 weeks, there's a reversal. Sometimes it's pretty short term. Sometimes it lasts for several weeks in gold. So the next 8-week cycle is going to be the week ending October 3rd. So more than likely by the week ending October 3rd, early October, we'll have a weekly high in gold. And at this point, it has a potential for being a multi-month high. Again, that will only be followed, more than likely at least, by a 15 to 20% correction. And then later in 2026, later in 2025, potentially early 2026, that major bull trend will continue, potentially much higher prices. So we want to be aware of that and not get overly excited when gold is advancing into key time targets. So this is the daily data for gold. It's the December contract. And of course, we have this impulsive advance and breakout over all of these highs that we've seen since last April. What we want to be aware of is that while we just had this breakout, we've got a nice 5-wave advance impulsive trend with the daily momentums dual look back overbought. Now, I know everybody gets really excited about this, and it depends on your trading time frame, but just be aware is that more than likely gold's in a position to complete a daily high. Now, a daily high just means a high that usually lasts 3 to 5 days, has a minor correction, and also following the next daily momentum cycle, it offers a great opportunity then to add to positions on the long side or to initiate positions on the long side. And again, you don't have to do gold futures. There's certainly ETFs and mining stocks and other alternatives if the gold position indicates that it has several more weeks on the upside to go. Well, my friends, that's it for today. I know you'll learn something. Check out our DT reports. We update all these markets and a lot more twice a week. You like what you learn? Hit the like button, subscribe so you'll be notified when we put up these videos. Everybody take care. Robert Miner over and out for now.